Convention story time, let's go. I just woke up, it's like 9 in the morning. As you can see from my background, I am in my hotel room here in London, UK. It's been amazing finally getting out of the country. First time out of the country in almost 3 years. So it's been really nice. I haven't been back to London since like 2017. And I feel like I finally got to like actually experience London for the first time. But that's besides the point. That's not what we're talking about today. As you can see in the title of this video, I went to my first convention in the past 3 years, namely London MCM, and it was definitely one of the most interesting con experiences that I've ever had. Mostly amazing, one part slightly traumatic, and that's what this storytime video is going to be today, I guess. Mind you, we kind of talk about this from all three of our perspectives in a future Trash Taste episode, but I figured I'd kind of take the time in this video to talk about just, you know, my personal experiences with it, because this is my personal channel, if you couldn't already tell. Subscribe. But before we jump in, let me quickly give a shout out to the sponsor. It's the good folks over at The Ridge. They've got these sleek, metal-plated minimalist wallets that fit nicely in that front pocket. You can put some cards in it, you can put some cash on the sides here, and they look really, really nice. They're sturdy. Don't eat them, obviously, but if you want, you can't even, because they're nice and sturdy, metal-plated, looking sleek. They have all sorts of neat little designs as well. You can grab one for yourself, use the coupon code Joey to get 15% off your purchase. But with that out of the way, London MCN, it was the first time I ever went to it. And I'd heard so many things about it, obviously, because Gant and Connor, my two co-hosts of Trash Taste, are from the UK. So they've been to London MCN many a times. And from a lot of my British friends as well, I've heard some very interesting, cool, fun things about MCN that definitely, like, hyped me up. Not only was it, again, the first convention in 3 years almost, but it was also the first convention that Trash Taste was a guest at. So for me personally, there was definitely a lot of firsts. There was definitely a lot of getting back used to, getting back into the rhythm of, getting back into the swing of, because, you know, as much as I used to go to a lot of conventions before the pandemic happened, since the pandemic happened, it's been really quiet. It's been kind of a struggle to kind of get back into this whole thing. Luckily, I didn't have too much of a problem with it. If you guys were at London MCN and you came to say hello, then first of all, thank you so much. You guys were freaking awesome. But at the same time, it was also pretty freaking terrifying for a number of reasons. One reason, which I'm sure many of you probably are aware of by now, because it definitely made the rounds on Twitter and the Trash Taste subreddit, was the first panel that we did on the Saturday. So MCN happens from Friday to Sunday, and obviously it goes without saying, Saturday is definitely the busiest day. It's when there is the most attendees that arrive. And not only that, Saturday was the one day where Gant actually was able to come to the convention. Obviously, as you know, he's busy preparing his wedding, so he couldn't be there for all 3 days. Meanwhile, Connor and I were there for all 3 days. So Saturday was the day where if you were a Trash Taste fan, then you wanted to come on the Saturday, because that's when all three of us were there. The boys were together. And on the Saturday, around midday, we had the Trash Taste panel on the main stage. Now, this was huge, because not only was this a panel on the busiest day, but also, technically speaking, it was the first ever panel that Trash Taste has ever done at a convention. So, if you are an enjoyer of Trash Taste, then this was definitely a panel that you wanted to come to. And my god, holy shit, you guys definitely pulled through with that. We had a packed house way before the actual panel started. I think the line got cut off like 2 hours before the actual panel started, which was kind of crazy. And, you know, it was a simple panel. It was, you know, the kinds of panels that Connor, Gant, and I have been doing for the past conventions, where we just come up onto stage, there'd be a microphone out in the crowd, and people can come up and ask questions, and we would answer them to the best of our abilities. You know, it's pretty cut and dry, pretty straightforward. But again, as you probably have already found out if you are on Twitter and the Trash Taste subreddit, there was an incident, an unprecedented incident. I think it was like halfway through, a little before halfway through the panel, we were answering a question, and then we heard this voice from the side. Like, I was kind of sitting on the left-hand couch, and from the left side of the room, we heard this guy just starting to yell. Now, mind you, hecklers are something that I have dealt with before in the past. In fact, there's actually kind of a part of me that actually, you know, slightly enjoys dealing with hecklers just to see them get owned in real life. And, you know, sometimes it's not a heckler, sometimes it's just a person who is in the convention, like a fan who is in the convention hall, who is just really freaking passionate and is really freaking excited and just can't hold back, just can't hold back from shouting his answer out so that the entire room can hear. And then I look over, and there is this very large gentleman, like I'd say like, you know, 6'3", 6'4" at least. He was kind of just looking over and pointing and just shouting something. I couldn't make out the words, but the one phrase that I did make out was the phrase, "I'll just come up." And as he said that, this gentleman literally jumped up onto the stage and started hobbling over towards us. And when I say hobble, I think like, you know, maybe he had like a cast on one of his legs or something. Like, he wasn't walking properly, but basically he kind of like hobbled over really quickly. Because I was the only one on my couch, he kind of sat next to me, but also like shoved me out of the way, because I was sitting on the middle of the couch, right? So he kind of like almost pushed his way through and just firmly planted his ass right next to me on the couch. And it was at this point that I kind of started to panic. I've had hecklers at my personal panels before, and I've had dudes, you know, shout from across the room, you know, some obscenity or whatever. But, you know, when it's from a distance, when it's just a heckler, it's pretty easy to destroy from a distance, right? Like, you're pretty safe. You're just throwing words at each other, essentially. And if the heckler gets too bad, in most conventions, usually, there is some kind of staff member there in the room to just kick the guy or girl out, right? So there's not that much of a big issue. But this was the first time where said heckler physically tried to interact with me. Not to mention, the moment he shoved past me and, you know, like firmly sat his ass right next to me here, he tried to grab the microphone off my hand because he wanted to say something. Luckily, I wasn't completely frozen up, so I managed to like pull the microphone away from him. But then it didn't really matter because then he just started saying some shit, like literally had nothing to do with the actual question we were talking about, nothing to do with us. He just like started going off on this like this crazed ramble about something. Obviously, I don't remember exactly what he was saying because at this point, I was pretty fucking shook, as you can tell from the 15 different angles of videos that were taken of this incident. The only thing I could really do was just kind of look around like this, being like, hello, staff, security, where the fuck is everyone? And hopefully in saying all of this, I don't come off as some kind of fucking diva and be like, oh, where's my security because I'm such a fucking top shot or whatever. I don't have to be like a convention staff or a convention organizer to know that if you are hosting a panel with that many people in it, you'd want at least, you know, some amount of security around just in case. The reason why I was so frozen up was not only because I was like fucking traumatized that this literal just crazed, not quite right in the head guy had literally done what he had done and tried to take the mic off of me. Also, the dude stank like shit, which was ugh. But also it's like I didn't want to like agitate the guy. You know, I didn't want to be like the guy to like grab him and try and like push him off or, you know, like just tell him to fuck off or something like that. Because, you know, again, like I immediately knew, and I think all three of us immediately knew, this guy wasn't quite right in the head. What's to say that he didn't have a knife in his pocket? What's to say that he wouldn't suddenly turn around to me and try to, you know, swing a punch at me, for example, or try and get physical with me? If I was the one to initiate something, that's just a lose-lose for me. Because God knows the internet would take, you know, footage of me literally pushing or taking a swing or telling a guy to fuck off, take it out of context and then swing the narrative around to make it look like I'm the bad guy. Obviously, I know that, you know, you guys wouldn't do that, or, you know, Trash Taste fans wouldn't do that, but, you know, the rest of the internet, stuff like that can happen, and I've seen it happen with a lot of famous people and a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people who host panels like this that do get a little bit rowdy and do, you know, something that's out of the norm and can be taken out of context and spun in a bad way. Internet is cruel as shit, dude. It felt like an eternity, was probably realistically maybe like, you know, 20-30 seconds at most, and then he just got up, hobbled off stage, and then literally just ran out of the room. That was definitely the loudest silence I had ever heard. I think everyone in that room, including us, just didn't really know what to do. It's like a storm had passed by. It was just like, oh shit, that just happened. What now? At least if it was like at the beginning of the panel or right near the end of the panel, then, you know, it would have been a little bit easier to kind of just like clean up and forget and move on about it. But when it happened right in the middle of the panel, it's so hard to recuperate from that. It's so hard to get back on track with that, to the point where it did, yes, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it very greatly did ruin that panel for me. It makes me so pissed off that it just makes me want to cry, because now I'm just gonna forever remember that panel as the first Trash Taste panel. And, you know, that should have been something special. You know, that should have been something that would have been like, yeah, you know what? You remember when we went to London MCN and we did that awesome first Trash Taste panel in front of our fans? Yeah, that would have been, that's a sick memory right there. But now, you know, it has quickly turned into a very traumatic experience for me, which it just makes me like really upset. You know, a lot of the comments that I received and we received from that were very sympathetic. And a lot of people felt sorry for us, which, you know, I greatly appreciate from you guys. Thank you so much. And, you know, a lot of people afterwards, when we did the signing, came up to me and was like, oh, you know, I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry, you know, I hope this doesn't like give a bad impression of the UK or gives a bad impression of MCM and stuff like that. And I was like, no. Okay, let me get this out of the way. That unprecedented event that happened at that panel, yes, was pretty fucking traumatic for me. It was pretty fucking traumatic for, I'm sure, the other two boys as well. But if there is one thing that it didn't do, was ruin my experience of MCN for me. Because thankfully, this was just like one very large road bump on my journey through MCN, and the rest of the time it was freaking amazing. Like, you guys who came to all three of our signings on Friday, Saturday, Sunday were some of the nicest, sweetest people that I've met in a very, very long time. And the panel that Connor and I did on the Sunday afterwards was really freaking chill. But, you know, I think the silver lining out of this story, I guess, is that, you know, for one, no one got hurt. No one was physically damaged. There was a lot of emotional damage, but physically, we were all fine. But two, now we know what the scale, or I guess the gravity of the situation is, at least for Trash Taste. It's kind of like bittersweet now to know, or to think, that we need security now. Like, it's kind of gotten to the point where Trash Taste has grown into such a thing now where, yeah, we kind of do need security. It's not even like a give me security because I think I'm important kind of thing. It's literally a give me a security because I'm genuinely concerned for my well-being at conventions. If you guys have met me, you know, I hate that shit. I just want you guys to come up to me, just interact with me like I'm just a normal dude. I never thought I'd get to that point. I never thought Trash Taste would get to that point. But it turns out, yeah, we do. And I think now we know, and maybe that experience was necessary for us to know that. But yeah, bottom line, I had a great time at MCM. And, you know, there were so many other stories that came out of MCM as well, which, you know, obviously, as I was saying at the beginning of the video, there will be a future Trash Taste episode where we do go over all of the stories that happened at MCM. This was just one little story from my perspective, a little more in depth, that I wanted to share with you guys because, yeah, it was scary, dude. It was really fucking scary. Also, don't even get me started on the fact that the guy, as he was running off stage, his pants were literally down to his knees, so I just got a full frontal ass shot. So that's forever burned into my mind. Thank you very much. Please, no one fucking do that. When you go to a con, don't heckle, don't run up on stage, because that's just cringe as fuck. Don't do it. Don't be that guy, okay? Don't have to tell you that, but just in case. But yeah, that was my little story time, I guess. Thanks for listening. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, then why not smack my face right here to subscribe to the channel. Let's keep making big channel number go bigger. And over here next to my head is a couple more videos you can check out as well if you enjoyed this one. And my social medias, Twitter and Instagram, is down in the description below. So follow your boy there. Hope you all have a good one. Stay safe at conventions. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.